7 days of all access, any handicapper, every play, all for $77. Grab this special now as it expires Monday, Memorial Day at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Time. That includes MLB, the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, soccer, golf, and even motor racing. Complete coverage with complete convenience as you receive an email immediately once your handicap releases a play, allowing you to get the best of the line. Just use coupon code FLAG77. Have an existing all access? We have you covered, as the 7 days will be added to the end of your current subscription. Best of all, this special is not limited to one per customer. Try as many cappers as you would like each day for only $11 per day.
All right, guys, welcome in. Happy Friday to you. Another edition of the Pony Pundits, powered by WagerTalk.com on this Memorial Day weekend. A loaded weekend, not only in the world of sports, guys, but also stakes races galore this weekend across the country. We've got one of them at Churchill. We're going to go ahead and break down for you the Winn Stakes, and we're going to do it with two of the absolute finest and best-looking handicappers you will see. There they are, Marco D'Angelo and Sig in the house. Both can be found, of course, at WagerTalk.com. Make sure you visit their pages, too, guys. A lot of great ways to make it a profitable weekend here. We'll go over those coming up for you. But I want to say hello, Marco, my friend. How you been, my man? What's going on with you? What do you got going on at WagerTalk.com in this crazy racing weekend of ours?
Well, Joe, it's been business as usual. Yesterday we had another NBA game, and this has just been an insane season for me in the NBA, Joe. We're now 39-14 with the NBA plays the last 53, just absolutely killing it in the playoffs. And then yesterday in baseball, we were heating up in baseball, 19-8. We handicapped the game correctly. Unfortunately, the opposing team at the last minute switched pitchers on us, and it officially became a no play. It didn't matter who the Angels put on the mound against us yesterday. They weren't beating Chris Bassett of the Oakland A's, who tossed a complete game shutout, a two-hitter for Oakland, which was my 5% game of the month, but officially it does not count because of the pitching change. So at least we know we handicapped the game correctly, but just caught a tough break there with it being a scratch, and we move on to today. We got baseball and basketball on tap. In Game 7 here in Vegas, I'll be attending the Golden Knights tonight. I got to be honest, I'm a little nervous, buddy. 3-1, the Knights have been in this the last two seasons, and it has not worked out well, blowing 3-1 leads.
Didn't you go to the last game in Vegas to had that work? Never mind. I won't bring it up. Never mind. As long as you're not in the arena, we're good to go there. Sig, could you imagine betting on a horse and then finding out, yeah, jockey change, we're going to throw Mike Smith on? No, we don't want that. Like, we want nothing to do with that anywhere around there. But how you been, Sig, since we spoke last Friday? What's new and exciting with you?
Oh, not too much, Joe. Looking forward to a big weekend of racing. Like you said, a ton of stakes, including 3 grade ones at Santa Anita on Monday. Looking forward to that. And some big racing at Churchill tomorrow, too. A number of stakes on their card, and one that we're going to be covering here coming up.
Love it, guys. All right, Sig, of course, you can get his daily racing reports, and I would highly suggest you do by visiting Sig at WagerTalk.com. Those racing reports are always posted by 9 a.m. Eastern time on race days, guys. And, of course, Marco right now, the opportunity to hop aboard what is just a disgusting 19-8 run in baseball, but 39-14 also in the NBA right now, guys. 7 days, $77, all access. Never miss a play. You can do so by using that FLAG77 right there on the screen, that code FLAG77. That'll get you 7 days, including all the racing this weekend with Marco. $77. And we are going to take a look at that race 9 tomorrow at Churchill, the Winn Stakes here, guys, an 8-horse field. And I don't know if this is true or not, Sig, but apparently a 15, he wants me to start with you on a 15-1 horse. So I think the deck is stacked against you here today. But It's all right. I'm going to go to you, ready to pounce here, and that is exactly what we are ready to do. 15-1 morning line. So give me your thoughts on ready to pounce here at Churchill Downs.
Okay, yours started with me on a 15-1, but if you take a look further down, the 3-horse and the 5-horse are both very short odds. So I'm sure Marco will have something to say about that. But the 1-horse here, ready to pounce, very lightly race. Only making his 3rd start of his career. They debuted him on the turf back in March at the fairgrounds. And then he actually broke his maiden at Keeneland last month when the turf race came off and he ran over a muddy track. I'm sorry, it was a good track, but it was a wet track. It was off the turf, and he basically pulled away from the field in there. He was, like I said, slated to run on the turf there. I do question that if he has the ability to run without Lasix in here, this will be the first time he's not getting Lasix, being a stakes race here. And like I normally don't, and I told you guys this many times over the year here, I don't like horses facing winners for the first time, let alone in a graded stakes race. But I think this one I have a really good feeling that this one has a shot in. Unintended, he is ready to pounce and could definitely be an upset factor in this field. Definitely have this colt on your tickets.
Love this at 15-1, ready to pounce. All right, good stuff. Marco going to the number 2 horse, Helium, Tampa Bay Derby winner there. Actually beat, I believe it was Hidden Stash there on March 6th. Talk to me about a 5-2 morning line in Helium here. What do you think?
Well, I just want to say one thing, Joe. I don't know who Sig is going to have on his final ticket, but if you want to bet a hunch bet, I heard him the other day whenever they announced here in Vegas, big news, the world's best buffet reopened last Thursday at Caesar's Palace, the Bacchanal Buffet, and I heard Sig yelling in the background, "I'm ready to pounce." Okay, but moving on to Helium here. This is a horse that has danced the big dances. Unfortunately, if you look at that last race, when he went in the Kentucky Derby, very disappointing race for Helium. What I took from that race, Joe, and watching the replay of that, is they had him in the mix way earlier than they normally do. And he was down in tight quarters at the start. We know the cavalry charge coming out of the gate in a 20-horse field. And I think that really was not conducive to the way he likes to run. He was in tight quarters most of the race, then just faded through the stretch. I'm going to give him a pass on the Derby, and I expect him to run back to the way he did 2 starts back in the Tampa Bay Derby when he come flying and ran me over in that race. I wasn't high on him, no pun intended there with the Helium, but this is a horse that does close in the lane, has a good shot to win this race. I think there's a better horse in this race, and unfortunately, I won't be getting to talk about it because it's Sig's horse, but I'll talk about it at the end.
Well, 50 horses in a Derby, and, you finish 8th, not actually that bad. So we'll see what happens here with number 2, Helium, and we'll move on to number 3, Obesos here. Come on, talk to us, Sig. You knew it was coming. He's going to have something to say about you getting the 2-1 shot. Well, what do you think here at number 3?
Look, Joe, this, like you said, this Obesos, the 2-1 is the morning line favorite here. And based on what Marco just said, I am guessing this is where he landed on his top choice here. I'm going to tend to disagree with him, though. The Orb Colt did hold his own in the Kentucky Derby. He finished 5th. He closed out the Super High 5 tickets that day. And he came into the Derby out of that fairground circuit, which, in my opinion, was the toughest one for 3-year-olds this year. We saw horses like Midnight Bourbon come out of there, as well as Mandaloon and Hot Rod Charlie were all on that fairground circuit. My biggest concern with Obesos isn't the horse. It's rather the jockey here. He hasn't won a race since Marcelino Pedroza picked up the mount in February, and he did have a perfect pace setup for his style in the Kentucky Derby and still couldn't make up any ground on the leaders. I think he's going to be running late here, and he will hit your exotic tickets more than likely, but I give him a small chance of winning this race.
All right, little shot there. Number 4, Southern Passage here, Marco. Dale Romans, Lanier, talk to us here. What do you think of the 12-1 20-1? I'm giving you credit. 20-1, more like it, Marco. What do you think here of Southern Passage's chances?
Yeah, there are two 20-1 shots in this race, and I'm covering both of them. Lucky me. Dale Romans. Somebody needs to do a mental check on Dale, because I don't understand where he's putting these horses in this year. I've questioned him several times where he's ambitiously placed horses in stake races that I thought had absolutely no shot. And here's another horse that he's being very aggressive in putting him in this race. This is a horse that he did race in the Curlin, Florida Derby. And Joe, when we did that race, I said he was insane for putting him in there. He had zero shot. He did finish sixth in that race. He only got beat 15 lengths. Okay, so we give him a pass for the Florida Derby and say, all right, you were way over your head in that one. So let's see what happens when you come back in the next race. Well, the next race was an allowance race. And what was the excuse there? He got beat by 15 lengths again, finishing sixth. I can't use him here. Now, he did have a good race last time out, but again, it was just an allowance race. He's going against much better horses here. The speed figures, I can say this much. Two of his last three speed figures were on the improve. And if he gets what he had in the last speed figure, that could run him on the bottom end of the ticket, but that's about the best I could see for Southern Passage. There's much better horses in this race, and I'm going to go elsewhere.
All right, we'll see what happens there. 20-1 Southern Passage. We're going to go on to Folsom here. Oh, look, 5-2. There you go. Brad Cox, Flaw Giroux. That means we must be going to Sig here to get his thoughts on yet another favorite here. Talk to us about Folsom, the number 5 horse in this race.
Yeah, Joe, I think Folsom's an interesting horse in here. He's a homebred for Jubmont Farms, and he's entering Saturday off a win in the Oaklawn Stakes earlier this month, which was only his third start. They debuted this horse last fall on the turf, and he made 4 career starts on the turf before basically being rained off of a turf race at Keeneland last month, and basically ran over them on a sloppy track pulling away from the field. Marco talked about Southern Passage, but I like Southern Passage if the track comes up sloppy, which is a chance of. This track's off on Saturday. I'm going to upgrade Folsom on my tickets here. And while Cox has been improving this colt with each start, he's going to need to make a large leap forward, in my opinion, to be a win contender in this field. I don't count him out, but I am, and I will lean to using him underneath on more of my tickets rather than on top.
All right, interesting stuff there. Number 5, Folsom. Number 6 here, Marco. Oh, look at that, another 21 shot. Hello, Hot Rod. Not to be confused with, well, anything Hot Rod, really. At 20-1 here, Dale Romans again. Not Dale Romans. Sean Davis. Talk to me about Hello, Hot Rod, the other 20-1 shot.
Well, I can tell you this much. Maybe tune back in next start for this horse, because this is going to be the 3rd trainer in 3 races. Maybe it will be Dale Romans next time, the way they're changing trainers. This is a horse that, interesting, had 3 wins in a row. Now, granted, 2 of those were, bottom class races, but then did step up in the Jimmy Winkfield Stakes and win by a head. Again, look at the speed figure, though, in that race. There was nothing in that race, and got the win wire to wire, held on by a head. Then come back in the next race in the Teso Federico Stakes at Pimlico. Did race a good game, 4th in that race, but really was never a factor. Went off 7.5 to 1 in that one. This is a horse that I could put on the bottom end again that might run on the ticket, but there are so many better horses in here. And you look at the connections, these are names that, I'm not familiar with. So this is a big race for these connections trainer-wise. And the jockey, Francisco Arrieta, this is a guy that's been very good on the mid-level Midwest tracks. This is a big-time race for him. We'll see if he can step up and get the job done. But 20-1, there's a reason for it. I expect this horse to go off higher than that on race day, and I can't use him on my tickets. If I'm playing a superfecta, I might throw him on the 4th spot on a super, but that is as best I can get with the 6. Hello, Hot Rod, not to be confused with Hot Rod Charlie.
20-1 on that horse. We'll move on to a Dale Romans horse, by all means. There's number 7. That'll be sitting on go 8-1 here. Definitely Dale Romans here, Sig. I guess the question is distance here. What do you think about this horse going off 8-1?
Okay, I got to jump in with one comment on Marco's last horse and his analysis on the 6-horse Hello Hot Rod. All he should have said was goodbye, Hot Rod. That horse is a toss, I'm sure, for both of us. But let's get the 7-horse sitting on go. The Brody's Cause Colt was the next big thing last summer when he won his first 2 career starts. He won as a favorite in his debut in the maiden at Ellis Park, and then they brought him back, and he upset in the Iroquois at Churchill over the same track at over 24-1. Ever since then, the connection basically got, I think, a bad case of Derby fever, and there was a lot of talk about this horse. He went into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I was pretty high on him that day. Didn't run a lick, and ever since then, he hasn't really run a lick here. I think the early success basically got him out of his element. I think he's racing in over his head, and I'd love to see Romans drop him into an allowance here going forward, build a little bit of confidence in him. He could pick up a piece. He had some nice workouts here of the lower half on your exotic tickets recently, but I don't think he's a win contender in here. I'd say maybe use him in the 3rd spot on trifectas and the 3rd and 4th on your supers, but I definitely don't see this horse winning a race here.
All right, not much on sitting on go, so we're going to go to number 8 here, Marco. Finish it up in this field here of the Matt Winn Stakes. Game day play here, which should also seem pretty familiar to Folsom, as they have raced against one another before, the favorite. So tell me what you think about number 8's chances of getting it done here.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Folsom Colt in this race and compared it to this one, because they did run together. And if you look at them, this horse is sitting at 8-1. Folsom is sitting at 5-2. Well, because he beat him, he should be sitting at 5-2. But if you go and dig a little deeper into that race, Folsom got the better trip. Game day play broke from the outside, went to the front, was sitting second. And then as the race developed, ended up having horses come to the outside of him. This horse battled from the top of the stretch home in between horses. Now, you've heard me talk several times that when you get 3 horses across the track, the horse in the middle is the horse that's getting the worst of it. He's going to get bumped. They don't like running through tight quarters. Well, he did get bumped, and he had to run through tight quarters. If that wasn't enough, guys, the jockey dropped the whip on the horse in the stretch. So all he was doing was, waving his, the lines at him and yelling, come on, I dropped the whip, I'm screwed. And he tried gamely getting to the wire. This horse, if you go back and watch the replay, and if you watch halfway down the stretch, you will see the jockey drop the whip and go into a little state of panic there. But the horse raced on gamely. If I like Folsom at 5-2, I got to love this horse with no whip, in between horses, and I'm getting 8-1. As we said last week, pointing out a horse that actually made the number 2 spot in the exacta in last week's race, there's better value taking this horse at the number. And I think this horse has a big shot to improve. And if you look, 2 of his last 4 races, the speed figures would put him right there. And he is coming off a big jump off of his last race. If you go 2 back to this one on a speed figure. And again, remember, he did that in between horses and without the jockey having a whip. So that is a live long shot in this race. And you'll hear more about that horse when we get to our final 4.
All right, I love it. All right, so 8-horse field, Matt Winn Stakes, guys, a grade 3, $150,000. Speaking of which, we'll get to their race day cards in just a second, but I do want to remind you also WagerTalk.com is where you want to go, as Sig each race day has his daily racing reports up and available for you to grab. All you have to do is Head over to wt.buzz/Sig. Get all his daily racing reports each and every day by 9 a.m. Eastern time. Huge weekend, guys, in racing. Boy, that would be a great report to have each and every day. So make sure you head over to wt.buzz/Sig. And right now would be the time for you to hop on with Marco there. NBA and MLB, just absolutely profit machine, guys. Get 7 days, $77. Use code FLAG77 at checkout and get 7 days of all access, including every one of Marco's race day selections, for just $77. Now's the time to do it. FLAG77 at Marco's page at checkout at WagerTalk.com. All right, Sid, coming to you first, my man. Put them all together, 8-horse field here. The Winn Stakes. What's your card look like?
Well, Joe, I ended up on one of Marco's horses on top here. I like the 2 Helium. I got Julian Leperoux racing for Mark Cassey. He's 5-2. Second choice on your morning line here. I didn't like the fact he was undefeated. He went into that Tampa Bay Derby, making his first start of the year after 2 starts at Woodbine over the synthetic surface. Came into the Tampa Bay Derby basically under the radar, came on to win that race. But then they had him off for almost 2 full months before the Kentucky Derby. And I think that hurt that horse in the Kentucky Derby. As you saw, he was on the early pace, if you guys go back and watch the race, and just sort of petered out as they got to the top of the stretch and didn't have anything left in the tank here. I think those 2 months off were a bad plan by Mark Cassey, whose horses have been running pretty well here recently. And he's, like I said, the improving speed figures with this horse. I think he's going to make every effort on the cutback here from the last outing. And I think he's a top contender in here. I already told you guys I'm big on Ready to Pounce, my second choice in here. And then I did go with the 3 Obesos. I think he's going to pick up a piece in here, but I don't like Pedrosa on him. And I expect a letdown. I think he gave a big effort in the Kentucky Derby. I expect a little regression off of that effort here. And my 4th choice in here, I ended up on Folsom. He needs to improve off of that race, but he is Brad Cox is the trainer who has the ability to improve his horses. And when Cox and Drew team up, they're in the money almost 60% of the time. So I'm not going to leave him off of my tickets. I don't think he's a complete win contender in here. I think there's better horses dropping down in class, but I think he does have some upside and should be on your tickets.
All right, there you go. Sig's card, 2135 at Churchill. All right, Marco, I didn't see anything about the buffet on there, so I'm going to assume you got something to do with chicken wings on yours. So go ahead, my man. What do you got? What's your card look like?
All right, I'm going to go with one of Sig's horses that he got to talk about on top, and that is number 3, Obesos. And this is simply, guys, read the program. Look at who this horse has been racing against. You go back his last race, he was in the Kentucky Derby. He did finish 5th. The 4 horses that finished in front of him were Medina Spirit, Mandaloon, Hot Rod Charlie, and Essential Quality. If any of those 4 horses were in this race, they would be probably 1-9 in this field. He finished the first horse behind that foursome. Now, Sig did mention about the jockey. And yes, he's not a household name, but if you look at this particular race, there are some veteran jockeys in here, but the big guns aren't here. There's neither of the Ortiz brothers are here. No Johnny V. So I think he'll be okay. Now, he did make a critical mistake in the Kentucky Derby. When Sig gave his analysis of the race, he said that the horse was making up ground and then just, stopped. He finished, 5th, didn't finish gaining on those in deep stretch. He needed to go one step further. If you went back and looked at the racing on Friday and Saturday at Churchill Downs on Derby weekend, the inside rail was absolutely dead. Normally, you want to go ahead and save ground and be on the rail. Well, he was outside and was making up ground, and then once he cleared horses and he was chasing the 4 up front, he went to the rail. And I don't understand why he did that. The rail wasn't good. It was playing dead, and I think that impeded his momentum. But even with that, he was the 5th best horse in the Kentucky Derby, and he's the best horse in here. I think his speed figures, he's going to sit off the pace and stock. I have him on top. I talked about the 8, and this is the value play. Again, if you like Folsom, which I put third, you got to like game day play at 8-1. That's the value horse in here. Folsom, I put him in there third. I think this is a horse that's improving and still has leaps to go. We haven't seen the ceiling on him yet. Would not surprise me if he come back and won again. But again, I'm looking at the value with the 8 over him. And then the horse Sig put on top, Helium. I'm giving him a complete pass for the Kentucky Derby. They didn't run the race the way they normally race this horse. I expect him to go back to his normal race style, which would put him part of this ticket. So my numbers are 3, 8, 5, 2 for the Matt Winn Stakes.
All right, there you go, guys. Absolutely huge weekend of racing ahead this holiday weekend. That, of course, Churchill Downs. That'll be the 9th race, the Matt Winn Stakes. And don't forget, guys, WagerTalk.com. That's where you go. Visit Marco as well as Sig, whether it be NBA, MLB, or the entire weekend's racing cards. That's the guys you want to go see right now. Sig and Marco. Head on over to WagerTalk.com. All right, we're getting a little bit closer, of course, guys, to, more racing. That's pretty much what we've got coming up here for you. Any which way you cut it. And this little race called, what is it? Belmont, I think. Have you ever heard of it, Marco? I don't know if you ever heard of it, but yeah, it's a coming. And that means so are we here at the Pony Pundits at WagerTalk.com. So lot coming your way over the next week here, guys. Stay tuned for more. But in the meantime, let's make it a very profitable weekend. Do so, of course, by heading over and visiting these two guys at WagerTalk.com. On behalf of Marco D'Angelo and Sig, guys, best of luck with your plays this weekend. Come back and join us again next week for a very special Belmont edition here of Pony Pundits. Good luck, guys.